Colorado Buffalo, 3-1 in the regular season, 4-2 overall. Carl Durrell exceeding expectations at the beginning of the season. I think that those early wins got everybody's attention. We saw Jarek Broussard emerge as one of the really shining stars throughout the Pac-12. Little 5'9" running back, dude can get it done. But I think that this offense needs to be able to have something else, because if it wasn't Jarek Broussard, Colorado wasn't getting much. Starting quarterback Sam Neuer, he's out for the spring. He won't even be there as he continues to recover from shoulder surgery. That leaves backup Brandon Lewis and JT Shrout, who you might remember from Tennessee. They will be there. And, Sam Neuer had some turnover issues late in the season, got a little bit loose with the ball. It'll be interesting to see if either one of those two, Lewis or Shrout, might be able to take steps forward to really push Neuer for the starting job into the fall. Defensively, we've got a little bit of a shakeup on the coaching staff. And so this Colorado team that I think the expectations were fairly low, Carl Durrell exceeds them. Now, is this the course correction year where, maybe the outcomes were a little bit, part of the outcomes came as a result of sort of a unique season and an opportunity to just go and get a couple wins real quickly? Because by the end of the year, I was not feeling as great about Colorado as I was a couple of games in. How are we feeling about them here in the spring?
Not great. I think listen, I love the Buffs, enjoyed watching them last year. They definitely exceeded expectations. But I think that of all the Pac-12 craziness that we saw in 2020, this was the team that got the most out of that chaos and got the most, experienced the most success because of it. And I think that the Colorado team we saw in its final two games of the year, the one that lost to Utah and the one that lost to Texas in the bowl game, probably a lot closer to the team we're going to see in 2021. Because even if you look at like the numbers of this offense last year, they finished 9th in the conference in rushing success rate. They finished 11th in the conference in passing efficiency. They were just amazing in goal-to-go situations. So whenever they got there, they took advantage of it. They got touchdowns, and that really helped hide some of the other problems. A lot of the boomer bust nature to their offense, like you mentioned, Jarek Broussard. There was a lot of nothing, 50-yard gain, nothing, 50-yard gain. So it's hard to find consistent success doing that. And I think that going into the spring, that's got to be on the offensive side of the ball, your main, your goal to figure out A, if we have what we have at the quarterback position with Neuer out, and B, to find something that we could do besides just hand it off to Broussard, hope he breaks off a big play. They've got to find more consistent ways to get 4, 5, 6, 7-yard chunks at a time.
I agree with that. I first of all, I do want to give them credit because the Durrell hire was made so late in the year that, like, yes, some of their record was, I don't know, a little bit smoke and mirrors, but not, I don't know if it was insanely smoke and mirrors. Do they finish with a winning Pac-12 record if they play a normal Pac-12 schedule? I have my doubts. Sure. They got, Arizona late in the year back when Arizona had totally quit. I think they were mostly quit early in the year, but then they were like quit, later on in the year. But I do want to give this coaching staff some credit here. If you look at Jared Lee's 4th down analysis, they were the only team in the Pac-12 to make the correct decision as far as going for it, punting, or kicking 100% of the time. Nobody else in the league was over 65% of the time. So if you're looking for a team that is finding ways, they're finding ways to win above their talent level by not surrendering the ball, by not giving up possessions. They're going for it, understanding that the value of the field position is not that much. Just go for it. Our defense, giving the ball in the 15 as opposed to 25, not that big of a deal. So I think that's maybe when we look at their kind of fundamentals, maybe they don't match up, but then they're finding other ways to win. This could be some of Carl Durrell's NFL influence, looking at what the front offices are now feeding down, to their coaches. I thought they were really, really good against the run last year on a down-to-down basis, but they were dead last in rushing explosiveness allowed last year. So, if they didn't get that stop, that guy was going for 80. So that's something maybe they can clean up a little bit. Defensively, I loved them. They bring back most of their defense. I don't think this team's totally an automatic out, but I don't know if I totally buy into what they were doing either.
Well, yeah. So what I hear from both of you is they absolutely overperformed, maximized opportunities, like squeezed, which is awesome. Like that's a good thing. They turned it over 11 times in 6 games. 7 of the giveaways were no error picks. So they need to clean that up. And I wouldn't be surprised, if he possibly got Wally pipped here with you had somebody step up that was a little bit safer with the football. Maybe it's Shrout coming in with some experience playing in the SEC. Maybe it's somebody else. But I don't know if that's a long-term answer. They were last in the Pac-12 in completion percentage. They were one of 3 teams with more interceptions than touchdowns. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if maybe they're looking for more production. And I do think there's something to be said for winning, like bringing some momentum. Because I think we analyzed, most people did. We looked at the coaching change more from the Michigan State landscape because Mark D'Antonio was retiring, stepping down or whatever, and it was late. And then Colorado was because Michigan State was put in a bad spot. So was Colorado. They were in a really tough spot. So for Karl Dorrell to come in and do what he did is pretty phenomenal. So you mentioned the defense getting a lot of their guys back, like still getting back, getting more acclimated to that scheme. They've got most of the defense coming back. Like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pick them to finish second, but I wouldn't be shocked if they got better quarterback play if they were right back in the hunt. I wouldn't pick them to finish top 3, I don't think. So I'm getting deeper in this.
Well, listen, we're going to be quickly moving through a bunch of teams that are going to, within the context of a 9-game Pac-12 schedule, they're going to be 5-4, 4-5. And it's just going to be, a couple of games that are going to separate these teams that are right here in the middle of the division before we finally get to a Kansas level. I don't know.